So, I've been putting this video off for a long time. Emotionally, I wanted to put this video off, put it out in April. But because the divorce trial hadn't happened yet, and because I was still hopeful that I would get custody of my kids, since I'm obviously the better, more responsible parent, I put it off, and I didn't make the video. And now a lot of it's not really that fresh in my mind. It's now October, but it's time. I gotta say what I gotta say. I gotta be honest and clear about all of it, and let everybody know exactly what occurred between myself and formerly Ms. Thornton. Boy, will I be glad when she no longer has my name. That will be very exciting for me. So please, get married. Please. Somebody. I don't even care who. I'll pay for you to take Garish back if you want. It's a lovely name. And it's a lovely family. Garish is about right. Not Garish, the fine German name that I'm sure has a rich history and tradition, but Garish as in ugly, nasty, vile. A lot of the problem with Jackie really stems from her parents. She has very bad parents. Her mom in particular is particularly loathsome. She's very inflexible, very judgmental, very self-centered. She really only thinks about herself, ever. She almost never thinks about anybody else. When she does think about somebody else, it's only in the context of how that can make her some kind of hero or martyr in the scenario. And consequently, she's a pretty miserable person, because I don't think she really likes herself. I believe she had a lot of partners back in the 60s and 70s, which is probably why she's pretty crazy, because I don't know if you know, but women who have had a lot of male partners, that's a lot of conflicting male DNA that have then been inserted into their bodies, which reaches the brain. And women who have had a lot of male partners get that male DNA in their brain. This is science. You can be mad at me if you want. You can be upset about it if you want. But this is science, and that's why women who have had a lot of male partners tend to be a little bit cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I believe that's definitely the case with Jackie's mom. I think she had a lot of different male DNA in her brain throughout the 60s and 70s, and she's just a very unhappy person, very miserable person. She treats almost everybody very disrespectfully, very cruelly. And as somebody who's so deeply unhappy, of course, she has had over the years a myriad of drug and alcohol problems. She was addicted to prescription pills for a long time. I don't know if she still is or not. That's something that you can kind of hide if you know what you're doing. And at her age, I mean, she's pushing 70. She should probably know what she's doing on that. But she definitely drinks a lot, drinks all the time. In fact, she hardly ever eats, because she's overweight, and very overweight. And she doesn't want the extra calories, and she needs the alcohol calories. So basically, she doesn't eat, and she just drinks alcohol most of the time from what I've seen. I'm sure she has to eat something. I'm sure she has to drink water at some point, or she'd be dead. But yeah, I mean, the alcoholism is pretty intense on that one. And she's just a really cruel, unpleasant person most of the time. She's funny. She has a pretty good sense of humor. Even when she's drunk, sometimes she says things that are funny. So, I mean, she's kind of clever in that way. But other than that, she's really just a very loathsome individual. And I think a lot of it stems from the fact that she has very little pride in herself, because I think was the village bicycle when she was younger, which definitely affects women. So that's Jackie's mom, in a nutshell, from what I've seen. And Jackie's dad just loves her to pieces. Just will do absolutely anything and everything she says. He has virtually no spine at all. Certainly does not wear the pants in the relationship. And basically will do and say anything she wants at all times, every time. And it's really a pathetic example of a male role model for my son and my daughter, which is a crying shame because that's where they're living right now. Yeah, he just has no spine at all. It's when Regina gets drunk, that's Jackie's mom, in case you don't know, when she gets drunk and is like slobbering all over a musician in a band at a bar or something, which I've seen a couple of times myself, and I've heard about it more than that. I understand there was quite a to-do at Jackie's older sister's wedding. She's divorced now too. Hey, big surprise, right? Parents who don't have a healthy relationship tend to let their kids inherit that sort of mental and emotional damage. And so naturally, neither Jackie nor either of her sisters are happily married, or I believe even capable of having a healthy, happy relationship with a man, because they don't know what a man is. All they've had in their lives is their father, and I would not call him a man. I would call him a pathetic... well, let me finish the story. So when Regina gets drunk and starts rubbing her tremendous fat boobs all over some musician in the most gross fashion imaginable at some club, he is smiling and laughing about it. I don't know if he enjoys that, or whether he genuinely thinks it's funny, or what's going on with him, but he seems to genuinely enjoy that process. I don't know if he just likes the attention that his overweight, used up, old, cruel, vicious, self-absorbed wife is getting from other men, or what? Or I mean, and most of the instances I've seen, she wasn't really getting the attention back per se, but boy was she giving it. And he seems to enjoy that and smile and chuckle, which I find just gross, just absolutely gross. I don't know if I'm old-fashioned or stuck up or what, but I just find it absolutely disgusting. And so that's Jackie's parents in a nutshell. Jackie's dad does everything that Jackie's mom wants all the time, no matter what. And he goes to work all day, every day, often 10-hour days still, because, I mean, who would want to spend any time with Jackie's mom, right? She's pretty hard to deal with. And just brings home that bacon, and then once he gets home, he's just basically Regina's slave and does whatever the fuck she wants. So, yeah, not a lot of health in that relationship, and not a lot of health to build the foundation of a family on. And as a result, Jackie and her two sisters are very miserable people who I don't think could ever have a healthy relationship with the opposite sex. They don't know an example of that in their lives to pull from. They think that, that women can just do and say whatever they want, flirt with whoever they want, act in whatever deplorable fashion they want, drink as much as they want, and that, whoever they're with should just do exactly what they say and be exactly how they want them to be at all times, which is very unrealistic. And when you have that sort of relationship with a woman, naturally the woman's not going to respect you at all. So even when Jackie or Rhonda, not so much Jenny, but Jackie or Rhonda, when they find a guy to be in a relationship with who kind of fits that pattern and just does exactly whatever they want, over the long term they stop respecting him, and then the grass starts to look greener over the fence at some other guy, and so inevitably the relationship falls apart. So I guess the lesson there is really pay attention to somebody's parents, because there's a fairly good chance that however the parents are, chances are, however the child of the parents will change to match one of their parents. I was a little bit hopeful that at some point Jackie would become more like her dad, not because I particularly like bossing people around or anything like that, but because, I think that if I were in the Regina role, I would just be a lot more reasonable and make decisions that would be healthy and benefit the whole family. But as it turns out, Jackie's a lot more like her mom. The alcoholism, the constant need for attention from other men, the constant need for compliments on her looks, the constant face creams, and trying to make herself look younger and prettier. Just it's really it's almost like a psychosis. I know a lot of women have that problem in our society, and I tend to be forgiving of that kind of weakness, but especially in women. But you know, Jackie's really the extreme version of that. Yeah, so, you know, for a little while, I was in the mat role, and I was working 70 hours a week and making very good money, pulling about 80 grand a year. And things were sort of working. Jackie was definitely drinking too much and smoking too much almost every day, even during that time. And I was never mad. I would never just bend over and do whatever Jackie wanted. So that we had butted heads quite a bit, even while I was still working. But then eventually, my contract was up at the ESD, and I think it was a mutual thing. I really didn't like my boss, and she really didn't like me, and these things happen. I could give you another video on my boss. She's definitely got her own baggage, but it's not really my business, and she has to go home and be with herself. So to me, that's enough punishment. I don't have to deal with her anymore. So, but then when my contract was up at the ESD, you know, Everett was 4 and Grace was 2 at the time. And I had really not gotten to spend a lot of time with them because I've been working 70-hour weeks, and I'd been just not home a lot. And I got a pretty decent severance package, and I had been, you know, very frugal and saved my money, and purchased Bitcoin and purchased other assets that had all gained in value, stocks and classic cars and stuff like that. So money just wasn't that much of an issue. And I said, hey, I want to take some time off and spend time as a family, all 4 of us, you know, me, you, and the kids. That's what I told Jackie at the time. And she did not want to spend time as a family. She immediately took the kids and went straight to her mom and dad's house in San Diego for a while, like about a month, I think. During which time I got a lot of things done that I'd wanted to get done. I had did a lot of my own personal IT, and finished most of the Corporate America album, and focused more on the band and stuff like that, and just did things that I wanted to do, because I've been, you know, a wage slave, you know, to the tune of 70 hours a week for the previous 2 years. So, you know, I just kind of checked out for a minute and just kind of caught up. Now, they came back to Oregon at that time, after about a month. And again, I was like, let's just spend time as a family. Let's go hiking. Let's do this. Let's do that. And Jackie kind of flipped out. Somebody needs to be making money. Somebody has to be making money. And I'm like, well, we've got these assets that are accruing in value, and, you know, we're still kind of making money in the band. I mean, we weren't like starving to death by any means. I still had tons of severance pay, like, you know, at least 3 months. And but she was like freaking out. Somebody has to be working. Somebody has to be working. I think she just didn't want to spend time with me. Honestly, I don't think already at that point, I don't think she liked me. She was already falling into some patterns that to me now definitely echoed more of her mom's behavior. So, so she went out and got a job right away. Like, of course, you know, she's a decent looking youngish woman. So, you know, she went out and got a job right away at a marijuana dispensary for this guy who is the biggest, fattest, most despicable person I may have ever met. I mean, the guy is just a greasy, dirty ex-coke dealer, drug dealer for like 20 years. And now it's legal, and so now he runs a dispensary, but he's still that kind of shifty, shady, kind of slime ball kind of guy. Packs all of his places of work with, you know, teenage girls that are attractive and that he thinks he's going to have a chance with at some point, and probably does. I mean, the guy's just really sleazy and gross, and some of the girls that work for him are also sleazy and gross, although generally not overweight and and generally not completely hideous in the looks department, but usually a little bit dirty looking, if you know what I mean. So so naturally that's what so she's working now in a dispensary, doing dabs at work, going out and drinking with this lazy boss guy at lunchtime, and with other men as well besides him, and hanging out with all these 18 and 20-year-olds down at the dispensary. Now, at this time, she's 32, And Everett is now 5, and Grace is now 3. And I relished my job as a stay-at-home dad at this time. I just went all in. I was loving it. I planted 52 raspberry bushes. I planted cherry trees, peach trees, apple trees. I was just like, I'm going to get this little organic farm going. We're going to have all the fresh fruit that we could ever eat, ever. I spent a lot of time reading to the kids, drawing with the kids. Everett completely learned how to read while he was still 4, actually. Before he even turned 5, he was totally reading. And then shortly after he turned 5, he was definitely really reading. No, even before that, he was reading like in earnest, like reading thick books like the Chronicles of Narnia and stuff. He was reading that kind of stuff even before he turned 5. And Grace really blossomed. Every day she was going outside and picking flowers, and she knew her alphabet and knew her numbers. Everett was doing multiple digit math, carrying numbers and stuff in addition, and just all kinds of the kids were doing really good. We would go to the park, we would go hiking, we would be out in the garden planting stuff. I built a chicken coop, we got chickens, we had fresh eggs, working on the house, remodeling. During this time we got a brand new kitchen installed. We were getting a new well put in. I was going to put in solar and remodel the bathrooms and remodel the bedrooms. I fixed, the leaky roof, just, all kinds of things. Just really, really productive, really great, wonderful life that Everett and Grace and I were having, the 3 of us, while Jackie was at work at this dispensary job. So Jackie's at work at this dispensary job, and she's hanging out with these 18-year-olds and 20-year-olds and just getting wasted at work, eating edibles, doing dabs, smoking bowls at work all day. And then she would get home and she would immediately have like 2, tall 50-50 vodka cocktails. Almost every night. She would just get obliterated. And the kids missed her, She's at work and they'd been spending time with her until I took over that role. And so they missed her, and they were like, Mom, we want to play cards. Mom, we want to do this. Mom, we want to do that. And she would just sit on the couch like so wasted she would be unable to move, and she'd say, I just want to relax right now. I just want to relax. And she'd been at work all day doing dabs and whatnot with all these, teenagers, and going out to lunch with other dudes and just, all kinds of God knows what, honestly. Once it went a little bit farther down the road, I found out more stuff that she'd been up to. It was just really despicable and trashy. Just not somebody who's a parent, not something that somebody who's a parent should be up to. For me, when I had kids, I was just, one woman man, never had eyes for anybody else, never hit on anybody else, never went out to lunch with anybody else, never anything like that. And women would hit on me at work and stuff. And I just, I was very focused. Like I'm a husband and a dad, and I don't have time for any of that. And Jackie was just not that way. She was increasingly getting more and more numbers from dudes, texts from dudes. There would be dudes who would come to the house and they would get wasted with her and just be like staring at her ass right in front of me, like just nonstop. This guy, what was his name? Rio. His name was Rio. He was obviously in love with Jackie. He would sit in her office all day at work, and then after hours he would come to our house and just be like, and he would get wasted, so he would just be like with his mouth open, just staring like right at Jackie's ass, like right in front of me, because I didn't get wasted, because I don't like to get wasted, because I'm a parent and an adult, and it's just not something I'm into and anymore. And so, a little bit in Jackie's defense, I'm the one who changed. I matured. I was interested in saving money and investing in stocks and cryptocurrency and property and eating all organic and growing our own food and raising chickens and living in the country where there's fresh air and no light pollution and fresh water and everything else. And so I'm the one who changed. When we met, I was a rock star. I was lead singer of the Leprechauns. I'd been on tour with all these bands and, getting attention from women every single night and playing music and, had albums and stuff. And I changed. As soon as I had a kid on the way, I didn't want to be that anymore. I wasn't interested. I was kind of burnt out on it anyway. And then once I had kids, I was like, no, I'm just going to do IT. I'm going to, get something steady, something reliable. And I did that for, 7 years. built up a really good savings and stuff, and then I wanted to focus on, you know, providing healthy organic food for our little family, and fixing up our property, and maybe eventually flipping it and buying something else cheap and fixing that up and flipping it again, and maybe just getting off the treadmill of having a 9-to-5 job and just, you know, doing more like, you know, flipping houses and growing our own food and stuff like that, and raising the kids. You know, I wanted to spend time with Everett and Grace and teach them how to read and teach them about biology. I mean, we'd be out in the garden and we'd be talking about plants and xylem and phloem and dicots and monocots and insects and the ecosystem, you know, the way the worms prepped the soil for the plants, and why, since the earth was so healthy and full of worms and like that dark rich brown color, why we'd get so many strawberries out of that particular part of the yard, where the soil was better, and just all that kind of stuff. I really relished it, you know. Still enjoyed playing music a little bit, but I mean, honestly, that was like not a priority. I mean, my priority was just really the kids. It was my 100% priority. And meanwhile, Jackie's getting more and more numbers and getting more and more wasted just all the time. And then she met this guy, another really sleazy, low-life kind of guy. He sort of managed a nightclub, and he would like have like these weird burlesque shows where there'd be like, you know, basically strippers and stuff. And our band played at one of those shows, so there was like some ostensible excuse for us to be dealing with this guy. And his name was Asa, and but pretty soon she was getting texts from Asa all the time, around the clock, and you know, and I would see the texts on her phone. They'd be things like, "Oh, you're gorgeous," and blah blah, and I'm like, you know, this is just, you know, this has gone too far. You know what I mean? There's no need for you to be getting texts in the middle of the night from some young scrawny dude, which I guess what Jackie's into now is these small scrawny young dudes. Whatever, that's her life. She's going to be who she wants to be. You know, saying you're gorgeous and whatnot. And she'd, you know, so she'd be gone at work all day at the dispensary doing dabs and smoking and drinking out to lunch with other dudes there. And then after work, she would go out to some bar and meet this Asa dude and be drinking with him. And supposedly they were going to be playing music and blah, blah, blah. And it was all very innocent, apparently. But, you know, I mean, I saw the text that said, "Oh, you're gorgeous." So... you know, clearly she's being hit on by this really sleazy dude, and I'm just like, you know, cut it with him, you know. I'm not going to accept this anymore. I'm not your dad. I'm not going to be okay with you flirting with these other dudes, hanging out with these other dudes, drinking with these other dudes. I'm not okay with it. You got to cut it, you know. And the fighting got more and more intense because she just wouldn't. She was like, no, it's just music. I just want to play music in this project, blah blah. No. And I'm like, you know, but. So and then the fighting got really intense one day, and it was snowing and it was cold, and she just packed the kids up and drove down to San Diego to live with her parents again. So now you have a 32-year-old woman with her two kids, my two kids, in San Diego, living at her mom's house, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to kick absolute ass and pay the mortgage and take care of everything while she's gone. We're going to have this little space. Obviously, she's not going to be hanging out with Asa or Rio while she's down in San Diego. So, you know, maybe that'll give her a chance to like reprioritize me into the equation as her husband and the father of her kids. And, you know, maybe we can get back together and fix all this. So at this time we were video chatting as a family, and, you know, I was always saying I love you, and, you know, I thought we were still a family and we were still going to be together and kind of patch it up. And I went and got a job at a music shop and started teaching again and started my own computer business. And I started making really good money. I was making between $4,000 and $6,000 a month running my own businesses. I was making between $4,000 and $6,000 a month. I don't know if I was right away in March, but, you know, by April or May or whatever, I was definitely making really good money already running my own business, teaching, working at the music shop here and there, gigging, doing solo gigs, because you got to remember Jackie was in the band, so when she left I couldn't really gig either, so it was another source of income that disappeared. I had to cancel all these shows too. I'm really bad for your reputation as a musician if you have to cancel shows. And then one day, sometime in April, then I came down to visit in March, and when I came to visit in March, she wouldn't hug me, she wouldn't kiss me. It was like there was something wrong between me and Jackie. And I got to hang out with the kids and spend time with the kids, and that was nice. But I was pretty crushed because I knew something was up with me and Jackie. And then in April, the kids told me that they had been on 8 different dates with her and some dude named Mike. 8 different dates. They'd went to the movies, they'd went to the beach, they'd went to this marijuana festival, they'd went out to a pizza parlor where her and Mike were drinking. So, you know, again, just recently barely separated, she was taking our kids out on a whole series of dates with some dude. So obviously it was over between her and I at this point. I had told her many times, you know, once you go with some other guy, you don't get ride. That's, you know, it's like when you go black, you don't go back, that kind of thing. When you're with some other guy, you don't get ride. That's it. I don't accept somebody back into my life who's has that kind of loyalty issue. I'm super loyal. Like I said, I never looked at another woman. I never talked to another woman. I never flirted with another woman. Never went out with another woman. Never had sex with another woman. Made out with nothing. Just zero. I'm just very loyal. And I was pretty devastated that Jackie was now dating this guy Mike, and I was really, really upset and concerned that she was taking our kids out on dates with this guy Mike. That, to me, was just completely unacceptable. And that they were out in public drinking. I know how much she drinks. So, was she drinking and driving with the kids in the car? I don't know. But naturally, I was scared out of my mind. So, immediately, I hired a lawyer, got an ex parte ruling, came and got the kids. I said I was going to take them for the weekend. Once I got them in the car, I started driving straight back to Oregon with the kids and the paperwork that said, hey, I'm their dad. I have every right to have them back at their house where they've been living for over 2 years now in Oregon. And I was still very sad about my marriage obviously being over, but it was a wonderful time. Everett and Grace were living again with me for 6 weeks, and finding fresh eggs from the chickens and going hiking at beautiful locations all over Southern Oregon. I took them to work with me at my IT job because it was my own company, so I could do what I wanted. So I would take them to work with me to meet with clients and hang out with clients' kids. And stuff like that, and it was just a really, really wonderful time. We went to the library, went out to eat, started cooking for them all organic meals, at least once a day. Planted more trees and bushes, and hanging out with Grandpa Jed, and going to see Marshall and Rachel and their kids, and just all their old friends. And it was just a really beautiful time, even though we bought a big trampoline for them to jump on, and new bunk beds with memory foam mattresses, all new sheets. I was really I rented out one of the rooms in the house so that, just in case, even though I was making really good money, it was just, just to help with the bills, and it was just totally handling everything, totally handling being a single dad, and really, really, really doing a good job. Taking really good care of the kids. And, just still sad about my marriage, but, and still sad that, the Everett and Grace weren't going to get the best possible opportunity to grow up, which is with a mom and a dad in the same house. I mean, that is statistically the safest, best, healthiest way for kids to grow up. And I knew that part was over, but I thought, maybe Jackie moved back to Oregon and I could, and we could do 50-50, she could get her own place, go back to her own job or whatever, and I would have switched with the kids every other week, whatever. But then it finally came time to have the divorce and custody trial, and I prepared like a 7 or 8 page document. I have it on one of my hard drives. I will upload it at some point to share with everybody. It's a little bit more detailed about exactly what's gone on here. It's basically telling this whole story, but with more detail and some statistics about, what it looks like for kids to grow up in San Diego versus Coos Bay, et cetera, as far as, crime stats, pedophile stats, all that kind of thing. I mean, just, raising a kid in San Diego is just not as good. It's plainly not as good. So we had the custody and divorce trial, and it was an older man, and pretty much the second we got there, he was smitten with Jackie, just totally smitten with her. He was like leaning on one arm and like just asking her question after question and just charmed by every answer she gave. And then he would ask me a question and I would start to answer and he'd say, "Oh, I've heard enough from you," and just cut me off. And and then at the end of the day, after presenting all these facts, you know, Jackie has 2 DUIs, she's got an alcohol problem, she's working at a dispensary. My last job was IT director for a school. Now I run my own business where I'm making enough to pay for mortgage and alimony, whatever, you know. And at the end of that trial, that judge who was smitten with Jackie gave her everything. Gave her the house, gave her the Lexus, gave her full custody of the kids, everything. And the ruling, and it told her to write the judgment and then he would sign it. So literally, not only was it not like this equitable thing where the judge would give me some and give her some, it was more like straight up like, "Oh, well, you're just so charming and wonderful. You go ahead and write the judgment and he'll just have to abide by it." So, so that's what happened. And it's now been over 100 days since I've seen my kids. It's been 110 days since I've seen my kids. Jackie's now on a new boyfriend. Apparently Mike is out of the picture now, and she's with a guy named Justin, who I think I saw. He's this really short, scrawny, kind of really young-looking Mexican dude. I just feel bad for him, because, I mean, if she did it to me, she's going to do it to him eventually. Or maybe he's going to be one of those cuckold, you know, slaves like her dad is. I mean, you know, maybe she found somebody more like her dad who would just bend over and just take every bit of slutty, drunken abuse that she wants to dish out. I don't know. But whoever you are, dude, Justin, I guess his name's Justin. Dude, beware. You know, do not get married to her without a prenup, because she will run you through the ringer. She ran me absolutely through the ringer. If you're watching this video, that means I've posted it, and that means that I am no longer in the United States of America. I am going to go over there in the next couple of days and see my kids, with or without a quarter, or with or without anybody's permission. I'm just going to go over there and see my kids. I'm just going to do it. And if they shoot me in the yard for trying to see my kids before I leave the country, then well, this will be on YouTube, and hopefully somebody will have my private account and be able to get on here and watch it and post it, my mom or whatever. And if they do murder me in the front yard for trying to see my kids, just know I was a really good dad and a really good husband, and our system is fucked. There's really no other word for it. It's like a 3rd trimester abortion. It's just fucking horrible. It's, you know, when you go in front of the judge, it's a popularity contest between you, your ex, and the judge. And if the judge decides, for whatever reason, despite all evidence to the contrary, you know, when I had the kids, I made sure that they video chatted with Jackie every single night. I made sure that they video chatted. I got cut off there, and I didn't get to finish what I was saying. Yeah, when I had the kids, I made sure Jackie got to see the kids every single night on video chat. I made sure that the door was closed, it was a quiet, calm environment, and that they talked to her for at least 15 or 20 minutes every single night. Jackie wrote in the judgment that I get to talk to him 3 times per week on video chat, and I only get to talk to Everett, really. Grace won't video chat with me. I think she's too hurt by the fact that I'm gone, and it hurts her to see me. It hurts her heart. It hurts my heart when I see her too, but it's better than nothing. But she's 3, and she won't even come and video chat with me. So I haven't seen my daughter at all. I haven't seen my beautiful 3-year-old daughter at all. And Jackie won't make her. And in fact, even talking to Everett, you know, she'll do everything she can to shorten the conversation, to end it. You know, when I had the kids, I made sure the video chat lasted as long as possible. 15 minutes minimum, often up to 30 minutes. I mean, I remember they had one video chat that was like almost an hour. It's like 55 minutes or something. I've never gotten anything like that on the other end. Nothing like it. It's always like, oh, 10 minutes is up. Video chat's over. Or, you know, sometimes they'll do the video chat right before dinner. And so, you know, oh, time for dinner. Gotta go. Bye. And just hang up on me. You know, so despite all that, and I told the judge all that, but, you know, he just didn't care. He liked Jackie. He didn't like me. That was it. That was the end of it. And she wrote the judgment to give herself the maximum child support available to her, which is between like $2,000 and $3,000 a month or something, which is, come on. That's ridiculous. I mean, she knows I can make that much money, and she thinks she's going to get that much money, but she's never going to get that money. She's never going to get a dollar out of me, ever. I mean, she hasn't let me see my kids for 110 days. And you think, like, after keeping my kids away from me for 110 days, I'm just going to show up with a smile and a fucking paycheck? I don't think so, bitch. What you have done to those kids and me is unforgivable. Unforgivable. You're a selfish, drunken whore, and you will never see a penny from me, ever. I'll blow my fucking brain out with a fucking pistol before I give you a fucking red cent. You drunken, selfish whore. That you could do that to our kids? Take their dad away from them completely and not let them see me at all? What the fuck is the matter with you? It's disgusting. Her and her whole family, they're just trash. They are just absolute trash. Just beyond trash. They would just attempt to tear a father out of their children's lives like that. A 3-year-old. A 3-year-old girl who loves her dad. They would just tear him out of her life like that. It's just, it's disgusting. It's unfathomable. I would have never done that to her, ever. In a million years. I would have done 50-50. I mean, I would have done almost anything to try and make it as equitable as possible for the kids. For the kids. I don't give a shit about her slut ass. But I mean, for the kids' sake, like, I'm going to, do what I need to do to make sure they get visitation with both parents. I was very good about that when I had the kids. And she's just not. She literally won't let me see my daughter at all. It's been 110 days. So, yeah, so I'm going to go over there and I'm going to post this video on YouTube, and I'm going to make it unlisted. And if anything happens to me when I, if they shoot me or something when I go over there, then, because Matt's got a bunch of guns, and, you can claim like it's like self-defense or some shit. It's not. I'm just there to see the kids. I'm not there to do anybody physical harm or anything. I just want to see my kids. Because I'm leaving the country. Because I will not be a fugitive in my own country because that fucking strumpet took my kids away and won't let me see them. And I'm not going to pay her for that disservice. I'm not going to follow some judgment that she wrote because she fucking batted her eyelashes at some fucking old-ass, pathetic judge. I can't even be that mad at him. I mean, she had me fooled for like 6 years, so she had him fooled for 24 hours. Sucks for me, but I mean, I can't even be that mad at him. It's, she's very misleading. She's very deceptive. I never would have thought she would have done this to the kids or to me. I could have never imagined it. I mean, if I would have imagined that this was even possible, I would have never married her, obviously. I should have never married her. It's a huge mistake. I had warning signs, I saw her acting like a slut at the club, Nino pointed out, he's like, remember that time you were on stage and you were like, you want to fucking die? And I was threatening some guy who was dancing up on her, but it wasn't the guy's fault. It was her fault. She was acting like a slut. And that was before we were married. So, you put rose-colored glasses on when you love somebody and you do stupid things. I just should have never married that trash. She is just a slutty piece of trash. I should have never fucking hooked up with her ever. And now my kids are paying the price for my stupidity. And it's just, it eats me up inside. It kills me. But if you're seeing this video, chances are, I went over there, I saw my kids for 5-10 minutes or however long I'm able to, over them screaming and threatening me and God knows what else, calling the cops. Because I want to see my kids, because I'm some kind of psychopath serial killer who just, wants to say goodbye to his kids before he leaves the country. But chances are, I'm in some other country. If that's the case, you'll be seeing that video too. And I love you all. I love my country. Even though I don't love that, our tax dollars go to build robots that murder children in the third world. And I don't love that They stole the election from Ron Paul in 2012, and then from Bernie Sanders in 2016, even though I think he was probably just a puppet who was there specifically to take the fall and attempt to give Hillary the election. Worst candidate ever elected, ever. Really? I mean, she's so unbeloved, as she should be. She's a criminal with like a pile of dead bodies behind her. I mean, how? Come on. Our last election, we had Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump were our choices. That's like worse than Idiocracy. Idiocracy, I kind of liked Macho Camacho. I mean, he was kind of genuine in a way, drinking light beer and riding a giant motorcycle. There's something cool about that. I mean, yeah, it's stupid. I mean, the whole point of Idiocracy isn't like a model to look up to, but I mean, honestly, that's better than Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. That's what we got in this country. And there's all these people upset that Trump won. Are you kidding me? You would have been so overjoyed that Hillary won? What about Vince Foster? What about Waco? What about Whitewater? What about Travelgate? What about John Podesta? That guy's... I'm sorry, but I agree with David Seaman and a host of other independent journalists who have done the research on John Podesta. That guy is a freak, man. There's something seriously wrong when John and Tony Podesta roam the streets for free. And, people who have done nothing wrong, are hunted fugitives. I don't know, maybe there's no connection there, but there's something very wrong with this country. And, I'm an American. I play country music, for crying out loud. Got my first job on a ranch, when I was 15, and worked real hard at the ranch and bought a fiddle and played music for a living in rock and roll bands all over the West Coast and elsewhere, all over the desert and Arizona, Nevada, New York, Utah. I love this country. Pacific Crest Trail and Crater Lake and Gold and Silver Falls and Death Valley. High Sierras. But I'm not going to stay here. I'm not going to stay here and pay some slutty, drunken whore $2,000 to $3,000 a month for the privilege of her keeping my kids from being able to see me. Of telling my kids to call some other guy dad when I'm begging to see him every day. When I send her a text and an email every single day, please let me see my kids. Please let me see my kids. Please let me see my kids. And then the state says I need to pay her $2,000 or $3,000 every single month. It's it's not happening. It's just not happening. I would literally rather die than pay her that money. It's just wrong. It's just so wrong. This country is just so wrong. The neurotoxins and vaccines. She vaxxed the kids, Shot them up with aluminum and mercury and fluoride and glyphosate. There's a history of Alzheimer's in my family, and she vaxxed the kids. And now when they're, 65, 70, are they going to get Alzheimer's because she chose to fucking vaccinate them? I mean, we know aluminum is what causes Alzheimer's. There's aluminum in those vaccines. And the aluminum's there as a preservative, so that they don't have to make fresh vaccines, because Lord knows that might cost Big Pharma a couple extra dollars. It's just everything, The food here is poison. Anything with wheat in it is just loaded with glyphosate, which is a carcinogen. They hose the wheat down right before harvest with glyphosate. She doesn't care about organic foods either. She's taking them to Taco Bell and shit. I fed the kids all organic, I was such a good dad. And she's just such not a good mom. She's just taking them out on dates with dudes, drinking, taking them to Taco Bell, sticking them in front of Netflix, dropping them off at the Y. Dropping them off at the YMCA because her drunk slut mom is too fucking lazy to watch them. And they won't let me watch them. But no, we'll drop them off at the YMCA. Yeah, and then they want $2 or $3 grand out of me a month. What is that? $3 grand times 12. $3,600 a year. $3,600 a year they want. The $36,000 a year they want. For the privilege of me not getting to see my kids while they plug them in front of Netflix and feed them GMO food. Teach them to call some other dude dad, even though I'm right here down the street, begging to see him every single day via text, email. You know, I tried to go and invade Everett's school when he was getting out of school in the afternoon, out of kindergarten, and I was successful a few times. I got to see Everett a few times, like that, and then the principal said she didn't want me to do that anymore, that I needed to go through the courts and give visitation. I went to the court, too. I went to the Vista Family Court, and I said, hey, I've got 0 visitation. You know what I mean? I was a very good dad for years. Still a very good dad. I've got 0 visitation. They said, where's your paperwork? I said, I don't have any paperwork. I said, we can't help you. I said, okay, well, off I go then. Out the door I went. I mean, what am I going to do? Bring the paperwork of the judgment that she wrote to the Vista courthouse and say, yeah, here's the judgment that my ex-wife wrote. It was signed off on by this like stupid ass, old ass, dumb shit judge in Oregon. And yeah, let's see how this plays out and whether I'm going to get visitation. That's the alternative. Oh, and side note, the alternative is also to pay between $24,000 and $36,000 a year to her and her new boyfriend, whoever the fuck this guy is. I don't know anything about him. You know what I mean? Is he a fucking child molester? I don't fucking know. I haven't met him. He's living with my kids 24/7 at Matt and Regina's house. That's fine with them. It's fine with them that their slutty daughters are banging whoever they want in their actual house. Just no honor, no dignity, no just decency, no common decency. That whole family just got no fucking decency. It's just disgusting. I'm so ashamed and embarrassed that I was ever in any way associated with any of those slime balls. It's just so disturbing to me. So yeah, if you're seeing this video, I'm in another country and I'm not coming back until I get some kind of decent representation, visitation with my kids. And I'm certainly not paying Jackie 1 red cent ever again in my life. I will definitely commit suicide before I do that. And she'll never get it either, I mean, I'm an IT expert, I use multiple VPNs, onion routing, I keep all my crypto on servers and foreign countries, I have it all split up and covered by 20 different 18-character randomized passwords. It's, she could hire fucking Edward Snowden. He wouldn't be able to come and get my crypto out of me. So just wish I could see my kids. I wish I could be with my kids. But this country and that cunt have given me no choice. They've given me no choice. I need to no longer be an American. I'm probably eligible for an Irish passport because I'm 2nd generation Irish. So I'll probably be renouncing my U.S. citizenship altogether and getting an Irish passport and traveling the world on that. Posting my vlogs about crypto and ancient archaeological sites and stuff. Someday my kids are going to want to see me again. And they're going to be old enough to make that choice on their own. There's going to be karma for you, Jackie. They're going to know what you did to me, what you did to them. There's going to be karma for you. I'm never going to forgive you for this 110 days. for the next year, the next 5 years. When they get older and realize what you've done, you really think Everett and Grace are going to forgive you for who you are, for what you've done, for how you've acted? I don't think so. There's going to be karma for you. You should feel bad. You're going to feel bad. I know you're angry. I know you're hurting. I know you're a woman scorned. But you made this decision. You left. You broke up the family. Not me. You slept with those other dudes. I didn't sleep with anybody. I still haven't slept with anybody. I'm going to. I'll have a new girlfriend. Maybe even a whole new family. Some other country. But you made these decisions. And you're the one who's keeping the kids from their dad. And they're going to know. You can't keep this a secret. And I'll have money for them when they're 18. Millions. Millions. When they're 18. And you can't touch it. For the rest of you, go ahead and tune into my exciting crypto and travel vlog.